for listening to the Marketing Evolved podcast with Jason Peterson, Holly Peterson, and Deidre Stevens. During this time, we bring you some of the current marketing stories and, as always, offer up a bit of our unsolicited advice for small and medium-sized businesses based on our industry expertise and knowledge. Just a quick format rundown. So for those unfamiliar with our podcast format, we'll give you a quick refresh. Each segment is timed to make the best use of your time, topic, and to prevent some of us from scurrying down that rabbit hole of tangent land. Thanks for joining us.
Alrighty, so thank you for everybody tuning in. We're going to do our stories of the week. I will go first. Everybody ready? Got the timer ready?
We are ready.
Woo! So, this is an article from Adweek last Monday, March 25th. NBC is shooting the entire Tonight Show with a Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. So Jimmy Fallon and company are hitting several NYC hotspots while using this new piece of technology. And Jimmy Fallon really does love to cross-promote. This is definitely not his first show that he's done this on, but it was really cool. He filmed the entire show with the S10 Plus. It was just really cool. I did watch the entire episode last night prior to the podcast, and it did look pretty phenomenal. Obviously, they took the footage and edited it to look really, really nice. But the couple of times that Jimmy Fallon is actually holding the phone, is pretty clear. And it was interesting because they tied it into that, and I thought this was really interesting. Him and Colbert go back and forth with like who's the number one late night show, and they hit a demographic of 18 to 49.
Whoa.
Which I was
impressive.
I mean, like, I cannot think of the last time I stayed up to watch a late night show, but I mean they hit Fallon hits 2.48 million people in that demographic. To me, I find that insane. So that was cool that Samsung obviously hit that demographic as well. So I shared this article with you guys today because for a couple of different reasons. Well, one, the cross-promoting benefits, I think were super cool for Fallon to do that. Mm-hmm. I also loved the episode of how authentic it was. I mean, here's Jimmy Fallon going around New York City where he's born and raised, and obviously the pinnacle of his success, The Tonight Show. Mm-hmm. And I think it was just really cool to see the authenticity of that and just using this phone going around. Super cool. I grew a respect for him there. And then obviously, our shooting technique here at GenR8, we use phones to shoot video, which I'm sure Jason will elaborate on. So, what's your thoughts on this? I thought it was super cool.
Tell us more about it, Jason.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's been awesome in the time that we've had GenR8, which, we've been around for almost 9 years now, we've been doing video pretty much since the beginning. And initially, smartphones were pretty rudimentary. Their cameras weren't very good. For most that know, we shoot all of our video on two high-end smartphones, Apple and Google, with shooting 4K and so forth. And of course, that is the thing now, is that the cameras have evolved significantly. So there's a lot of movies and different things people have produced on the phones themselves. So the fact that they're doing that, that's a testament that, like many technology, don't get me wrong, traditional photographers love the DSLR cameras. Those are amazing. Those are the conventional, really, really high-end ones. But yeah, it just reinforces what we've seen, is that the accessibility and the efficiency of having a computer in your hand that's as powerful as a professional camera gives you things that you're able to do interactive with a client-wise and stuff that you would not otherwise be able to do so with just a camera.
What are the arguments of people who say, oh, you can't use that, that's not true photography or videography,
sure,
if you're not using those things? What is the argument? Is there really truly an argument? Because, I know there's more classical training on some of that stuff versus someone who, is self-taught and they just, use the equipment on hand. But what are your thoughts there?
Well, okay, for those that, I'm revealing my age, I was in college, obviously, in the 90s, and this was during the evolution of just starting with digital photography. So the purists were, oh my gosh, we're never going to use digital, everything's with film and so forth. So over time, as the digital cameras became better, that's essentially, they had the same customizable capabilities of a point-and-shoot camera. So people evolved there. But you're right, the purists have always been resistant. Now, at the end of the day, I think that as long as you have the same control that you would normally have over a camera, again, you get over that obstacle. And I know for me, this is one of the things is, we were in Colorado recently, and Google has a special night capture feature. and I was able to take night photos that you would never be able to do with a traditional camera. So some of it is just old school, but this has happened once before, and this will be just the next generation of people going, whoa, I guess smartphone cameras aren't terrible.
Cool.
As the tech guy, do you think this S10 Plus will give Apple a run for its money, or do you just think it will be the constant Romeo and Juliet, Samsung, Apple, whatever?
Android.
Yeah.
Well, again, this is...
Because they're pretty sick.
No, it's amazing. I mean, right now, I think Apple's ship has sailed and trying to just compete on hardware. I mean, that's something we talked about earlier with Jack Mitchell on the radio show, just that Apple's all double downing on services. So, I mean, frankly, Apple's behind the curve on some of the tech stuff. I mean, Huawei is that Chinese manufacturer. They got the best tech hands down over Samsung and Apple is behind the curve on the camera side of things. So right now, I would say what you can buy, I think the Galaxy has the best camera, you know, as far as what's going on. But yeah,
if that's your aim.
If that's your aim. If you're going for best camera, period, I would say the Galaxy one is the best one.
And then before we switch topics, to pose this last question, what do you guys think is business owners are listening to this who want marketing advice? I mean, here's Jimmy Fallon, structured show every single week, but kind of went out of the box, wasn't in the studio. I mean, he literally walked around New York City, and it showed that authenticity. And so such a simple idea worked really good for him. I mean, and what do you guys think about that? I think sometimes business owners think they have to go big and beyond.
Yep.
When sometimes simple is the best. Or what do you guys think about that?
Deidre, I'm really glad you asked that, because that leads right into my topic of the day. Ding, ding, ding. Okay,
Technology.
So here's my topic. We did touch a little bit on this last podcast as far as this whole influencer thing, but there was some new data that was recently released talking about how Instagram beats YouTube as top influencer platform as brands see rewards for better disclosure. So everybody is, well, I'm assuming most people have seen like the unboxings, the FabFitFun, kind of like we talked about last time, talking about product plugs. Look how white my teeth are using this special little insert, you know, but they're not necessarily disclosing that they are stumping for that particular product. Well, most consumers are smart enough to understand that's what's going on there. Most people don't like to whiten their teeth just on Instagram for the heck of it. But what's interesting is that Instagram has overtaken YouTube from the video perspective. Now, just from a marketing standpoint and like from a social standpoint, that's kind of mind blown.
Yeah,
stuff.
that's a big deal.
Because it's showing how much influence and how much influx of video now can be found on Instagram, and people are using that avenue rather than saying default video for YouTube. That's crazy. That's actually a really big deal. So that's something that marketing brands need to pay attention to. Companies need to pay attention to as far as like where their outlet is for some of that video. And if you're not on Instagram, it's probably time that you do get on Instagram.
Yep.
But 65% look for their influencers and are seeking out Instagram. 62% goes to Facebook, and then 62% now for YouTube for video influencing. Content. As far as like what people prefer to see. So listen up for marketing from a marketing perspective. Video, number 1. Number 2, imagery. So if you have products or services, you need to figure out the imagery that would go along with that. And then the written word is third on that list. So obviously we can't completely get away from the written word, but that's important to remember that if you don't have a video or imagery to go with it, don't do it. Rethink it.
Well, I just want to say that people are clearly listening to our podcast because I mentioned that I want to be a wannabe influencer. I'm trying to reach that brand level.
You go, girl.
Yeah, I'm a Lincoln,
You go.
the Lincoln influencer
Absolutely.
right here. I'm
Right
climbing
there.
that ladder.
Raise the roof.
And then I judged a pageant this past weekend. I had a pretty good photo of me. I've had 3 clothing brands reach out to me to be basically an influencer, and they're actually brands that
Wow.
I'm not like some like I've been asked to do like skinny tees and stuff, and it's like, thanks for calling me fat. So I'm like, whatever. But these 3 clothing brands, I have been actually like, I would buy the clothes, and so I'm really considering it. Yeah, so stay tuned.
So was that through Instagram?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it's all on
There you go.
It's all on my
There you
Instagram.
go. Well, and the other part of that says globally 4 of 5 consumers said that they've made a purchase recommended by an influencer.
And
that is a huge
Yeah.
chunk.
no, and honestly,
And I have.
no,
I've done it.
I know, I've
I
seen.
was actually looking at my beauty products the other morning. The vitamins the hair vitamins that I take, the deodorant that I now use, and there's a third product I know that I have bought because it was like, I saw it on Instagram constantly, like influencer, and I was like, and then they got into a big box store, so I'm like, okay, clearly this works if they are not only verified by all these influencers on Instagram, but also in a big box store. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And you know what?
Incredible.
It has been amazing. So I'll probably give a shout out at some point to those because influencer marketing truly, I think like we talked about last time, I think there's a balance to it, and I think we're all trying to navigate that, but watch out, people. Here I come.
Seriously. I mean, this is a big deal. Please listen up. If
Yeah.
you aren't, doing this on some level, or you're thinking about it and you're on the fence, now is a great time to make that move.
Instagram for hire. Deidre Stevens.
Yeah, this is Deidre's wheelhouse.
Free stuff.
But because this is what it is in the end of the day. People love to give their opinion. And if they can do it on a easy to use platform, then I mean, why not? I mean, all those bachelor people or whatever, like they just are regular people, I'm using them with air quotes, that are genuinely using products to hopefully better themselves, and they give their honest opinion.
And for the most part, we all willingly watch them.
Yeah.
It's not like they're forcing something down our throat. So we are curious to know, is this a good thing?
It's a curated infomercial.
Yeah.
Basically what it is.
There you go.
Hashtag Deidre's came up with that word.
I think the big thing to me with Instagram, couple things. I'll do a fact and fiction. We'll do this later on, maybe in another one. But one of the things I reported lately was we talk about engagement, which means people actually responding to a post. So the stat that blows my mind about Instagram is, and we've seen this, whether you're hashtagging or comments or likes, is compared to Facebook, it's 60 times more effective for people interacting, 200 times more effective than Twitter.
It's crazy.
So at the end of the day, we care about engagement. And I also think, like you've mentioned about video, is the trend we see in our philosophy is it's more about authentic consumable content
And that's
versus
the big
like
deal with this.
overproduced.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Exactly.
like people will specifically turn away from a brand because of the lack of authenticity or even disclosure. That's what this article was addressing. And so, like, if people would much rather you as an influencer get on and say, hey, I just got this product. They've asked me to whatever, unbox it, whatever the case is. People would much rather you disclose that ahead of time or even after you talk about it than pretend that you're just on there having fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing this. That's not true.
I'll be curious. I've kind of noticed a couple of the influencers that I follow, but I wonder if the restaurant industry will try to tap into this, because right now you see the beauty brands doing it, the clothing, like swipe up to get what I'm wearing. But I feel like from a traveling perspective, I have yet to see like Disney, for example, fly out an influencer and do like a takeover of like, oh, this is the exclusive things you can get at Disney. Like that to me, like that's a whole untapped market.
They have all their princesses.
But the princesses cannot go on Instagram. I know a princess, and they can't, like, they can go on their personal,
You
but
know a Disney princess?
I know two of them.
Lucky.
I know Jasmine and Elsa. And, well, she's Elsa and Ariel. She's split.
Well, no. I know. I'm just saying cartoon. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if someday Disney has an Instagram feed for like Ariel or something, but whatever.
Well, okay.
I'm pretty sure we heard the bell. So.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways.
All right, Jason, what's your topic?
Okay, so my topic today is would be infamous the right word? Google Plus.
Yeah, infamous is a pretty great
That's
word
probably
for
pretty
it.
great. So Google has basically raised the white flag, and they are shutting down this social media network. Good. Now, for many people, this was confusing from the get-go. They started this probably about 7 years ago, and it was an attempt through just automatic inclusion, if you had a Gmail account, that you had a Google Plus profile. So they were trying, again, to sort of gain this traction between you log into YouTube, and you'd share content like Facebook. Not surprisingly, it's lightning in a bottle to get a social media network to work, and it completely failed, and so it's kind of limped along for the last 5, 6, 7 years. So for most people, this doesn't really matter. The thing that has changed that has benefited and we've seen is the businesses. We talk a lot with our clients about Google Business and the business listing. All of those features have sort of been transferred over to the business side of things.
And you're referring to Places,
Google
correct?
Places, correct.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, the Google Business, they keep changing names. So point being is really for those, it's a non-issue, but if anybody has saved photos in their Google Plus page, those will be gone. So that is the
as
only
of
thing
today.
As of like
I
today,
think it's a little too late to
said-
even jump in now.
They're shutting down by Friday.
Oh, okay.
So you have a little bit of time. So again, Google Photos is great. I mean, I think they've recognized this as, the thing to do, but it just shows us that as social media has been around, I mean, Facebook is 15 years old. We talked about that another time, that it's not easy to do this. I mean, even Snapchat.
Not even for Google.
No.
People.
You just can't throw a bunch of money at something and expect people to interact. So for those that care or don't care, Google Plus is gone.
I don't even know what that is.
But at the end of the day, I mean, the other factoid I'll say.
Did you just say you don't even know what Google Plus is?
That'd be correct. I have no idea what that is.
Wow.
Well, I guess that speaks to this topic.
Exactly. I mean, for most people, they have no idea, but it impacts
It used
people.
to be a big deal.
Yes, it used to be a big deal where they were pouring ounces. They had all these influencers posting on Google Plus, all kinds of things. So, bottom line is, Instagram.
It's not cool.
Billion people, Google Plus, who cares? It's done. Good riddance.
Yeah. Deidre, I got nothing.
I don't. I'm sure. I mean, I've had a Gmail account for years, so I'm sure I at some point got an offer to connect her. Who knows?
Haven't you seen the little G Plus symbol? Haven't you ever seen that floating around before?
I mean, I'm sure I have, but I'm like, what?
It's not registered.
I just didn't care. I was like, I got too many other platforms to care about.
But that's exactly the point. Is like for your generation, it completely flopped. There was no, and that's actually the second time they tried an initial called Google Wave, and that failed too. So that's 2 times they failed.
Google needs to just
They need
take
to
a step
focus on what they
back.
do best. Yep, which is search.
On a plus side, no pun intended, for Gmail, we noticed in calendars this week that they provided a little number that we could call if we wanted to collaborate with someone who was not physically in office or on location. So now when you create a meeting, they will populate a phone number that you can use. So,
their Google Hangouts has definitely, I think, stepped up in the last even 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan, not to be on a tangent because we're pretty good on time, that the Google email hosting platform, which has all that, I mean, I've been using that for 10 years. We've used it the whole time. So, again, I think for us, it's about certain companies do well at certain things and certain don't do at other things.
And that's okay.
And
That's really
just
okay.
fine.
I mean, that keeps things competitive, so.
Yep.
It's all right. All right.
All right, so now we're on to our listener questions. As always, if you have any marketing questions or get to know you questions, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, when you name it, or email us. Which we'll say all our platforms at the end of the show. So the question that is a commonly asked question is, what are some common mistakes that businesses make in regards to marketing? Discuss.
Well, I would say the first thing is people tend to believe that it's like the old marketing where you press a button, you create a marketing plan, and you just say go. So people don't realize that marketing now is a constant adjustment, change, evolve. You have to constantly tweaking it. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest thing I see is they're not used to the fact that they have to sort of earn it or work at it to make it effective.
Okay.
That'd be my first observation. What do you think?
Don't bother me. I'm thinking.
I think...
I will not bother you.
I think that people overthink it.
I agree with that.
Am I overthinking it by thinking about it right now?
No, I mean, I just think, I've been in this industry now probably 3 years, and I think that's been, when I have met with people, it's just, marketing is one of those things that a business, thinks about, but they wait on it, and then they put all this money into it, and then, they don't see a payout, so they rip it away, and then, oh, no, we shouldn't have ripped that away, and it's this... They have a love-hate relationship with marketing because they don't either understand it or they like I said, they overthink it. Like, oh, I need to be on the radio, the newspaper, print, billboards, social media, and like they put all these things like in kind of sectors of like, I need to be this, and this, and like sometimes it's like,
calm down.
Yeah, you know, use those things effectively to what you need. You know, look at what are your true marketing needs for maybe a certain time span, whether that's a month to 9 months, whatever time span you want to put on it.
Yeah.
And then look at your true needs and then how you can achieve those goals. But I just think some people just really overthink it. Really, like, one Facebook post they think is, like, going to make or break them. Sometimes it might, but...
But don't be scared.
Just don't put anything political. Okay, that's my, like, that will make or break you. A political post will make or break you, but everything else, whatever.
I think you said to leave that for Twitter.
I did actually
All
say
right.
that.
I would say probably, now that I've been thinking, without overthinking it, I really kind of come back to the conversations that we have with a lot of clients. In fact, we ran into this question this week, is just, we're in this weird transitionary period between when kind of that baby boomer generation is basically starting to exit, whether it's ownership or even just seniority roles. And we have the Gen Xers taking over, the millennials taking over, stepping up, taking over some of those responsibilities. And it's like, well, I've never had to market before. We just had business rolling in.
Yes.
And it's like, there's a couple of different things going on there. And, you know, every company is different. It depends on where you're located, what kind of service or products you provide. But I think this concept that having to do marketing is uncomfortable. I get that. There's a learning curve there. But the fact that you're not failing because now you have to market yourself. It is okay that you have to market yourself. Because you didn't have to do it before does not necessarily mean that you're doing anything wrong. It's just we live in a different time now. You know, there are different expectations on services and products. Mm-hmm. There's the influencer side of it. There's competition. I mean, we have a lot of millennials now opening businesses, or Gen Xers, or taking over, you know, like, so there's just more competition, and it's a different kind of competition. So don't feel like you're failing because all of a sudden you're having to allocate dollars to marketing. That's not a failure. That's just the evolution of business and where we are currently.
Mm-hmm.
I think the takeaway I tell people now is people buy from people. It's the who and the why and then the what. So for those older folks that have businesses, you have to remember and think about the way business was done before advertising was so broadcast oriented. So to some degree, it's like, it's a good thing because it is about people and relationships. So I agree. It's like, don't get bogged down by the technology. Mm-hmm. The technology is the part that we help you with. We sort out what is worth it and what is a waste. But at the end of the day, whether it's video, whether it's newsletters, whether they're searching on Google, it's always about the About Us page. At the end of the day, it's about people and marketing people.
And that authenticity, too.
Yeah, being authentic.
But just like to Holly and kind of your point, Jason, it's that notion, though, that we do live in a different world, and depending on your industry, I'd say all industries, they're just as fluxes. And so, but putting your head on, like, just looking like in this one tunnel of like, oh my goodness, this, like, oh my goodness, Facebook, and then the next month it's Instagram, and then it's newsletter, and when you get so just in this blinding kind of like, you're, I don't know, I really like horse racing, so when they like put themselves in the little like ring thing and then they go, like, you just, when you're just so, yeah, the gate, the ring thing, the gate.
Tunnel vision.
When you, your tunnel vision is so dark and so focused, like almost too laser focused. It takes away the fun of marketing. It also puts this like ultimatum, and I don't think that's fair to put on marketing. And like you said, it just is kind of the world we live in. But when you immediately put this like ultimatum, like, oh my goodness gracious, that's when it makes our lives hard and our jobs hard. But it also makes your job hard too, because it's like you're not providing us the things then that are what make you authentic, because there's immediately this ultimatum.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a big question. We can certainly tackle that more later on, but good question.
Thanks, Jilly. Woo!
She gave a shout out.
All right, so the question of the day. This is a question for people to get to know us a little bit better. The question of the day is, what one piece, Jason, one piece of technology transformed your life? I'll give you two if you have a... I know you've got...
I'm going to say one is that when, again, my dad was in computer science and computer software and programmer, and so when I was 5 years old, he got an IBM PC. So most of my friends had no computer, and I was immediately exposed to technology, even though I was an art person and a painter and a drawer. So from day one, I was fascinated with technology. So for me, everything that put into motion in what I do today was the fact that I was exposed and I saw the change in my life from just geeks using computers to smartphones being used by grandmas and grandpas. So that's, for me, was the big kind of aha moment.
I think for me it was the internet. Jason and I grew up in the "You've got mail."
Yes.
Little AOL action. And I remember using that and being super excited when I saw my alarm was up. So yeah, I mean, and it allowed me, I was starting to get at the age too, like getting ready to enter into college, where it allowed me to be in touch with people more so, because I've never been a person who enjoys being on the phone and talking on the phone. Even when I'm on the phone, I usually put it on speaker so I don't have to hold it or anything. But email was such a great avenue for me to be able to communicate with people that I was not close to, especially after I moved to Atlanta. And so I really enjoyed that. And even just from a student perspective, having access to that information, whether it was through, university studies or just, writing papers or just wanting to look up something. I mean, this is even before it was just Google it. No.
Before Google.
This is before even that. This was when they put the encyclopedia library online. And so, I really feel like that was a pivotal moment for me, and that changed my perception of not only education and communication, but just having access to so much more, being informed, having that fingertip type knowledge. So,
yeah, that would be my number two. Deidre, you share yours.
So I actually kind of had this thought when you two were having the very parental discussion about getting Lydia a phone. I remember this very clearly because I stayed and talked to Jason about it.
She has a track phone, by the way, but yes.
But when you guys were talking about it, I kind of feel bad for your kiddos, and I think I shared with you before. A piece of technology that transformed my life was my first ever iPod Touch.
Sure.
That was the first thing that I remember, like, saving up my money for, buying it. And then, I got my case on it. It was the first kind of piece of technology that allowed me to have these apps. That was my own responsibility. Yeah. And, but listen to music. And it was there. But I could play Doodle Jump, if anyone remembers that game. Yeah, Doodle Jump. And so that was like that piece of, it was expensive. It wasn't a computer, but it was my own. And I could make it my own. But it wasn't like the previous iPod that I had. I don't know, just getting that iPod Touch really, I think, opened the door for me. It did. Thank you, Jasmine and Aladdin. It was really cool. And so when you guys had that posing question, I was like, your kids will not have the same, like, I had a gradual start to getting a smartphone. Like, I didn't get my first smartphone until I was in high school, but I got a gradual start.
Yeah.
Kids today don't have that. It's like...
Well, like Lydia's already on a Chromebook. I mean, she spends part of her day on a Chromebook, so it's like...
Half of the kids I know are on iPads.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh.
I'm going to informally add something. Well, at the end of this thing, I'll do a quick fact or fiction. I'll give two little tidbits.
Well, do that now, because then...
Because we're pretty much all wrapped up.
Well, I have a special final thought, but we'll do your fact or fiction first.
So in lieu of our conversation about Instagram...
Do Holly and I have to guess?
Yes, you're going to guess this. So first, there is 2.5 billion users of social media, fact or fiction.
You said 2.5 billion? Yeah.
False.
false. It is 3.5 billion.
You probably shouldn't use the questions you've already told me.
That's okay.
That's
all
an
right.
unfair advantage.
That's all right.
It's okay.
So Instagram, fact or fiction, there is 1 billion people using Instagram.
That's probably false. False.
Fact, 1 billion users.
Real people, though.
Yes. Real people. Facebook has like 2.27.
Just staring off into
No, I
space,
know.
like
Yeah.
trying to process.
That's all right. But my point is, yes. So I think just to reinforce that whole Instagram conversation, that's how you reach the 35 million.
Instagram is the place to be.
That's
But
right.
all I'm going to say to that, though, is that I know people, and these influencers are a couple of them, that already have Instagram accounts for their children. Their babies. So
Yeah, but there are cats and dogs who have Instagram accounts
This-
too. So it's
this is
like,
true. That's
ugh.
true.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
Thanks. Well, so
And that was the fact or
Fact or fiction. 2 questions.
segment.
There you go. We'll do that every time.
yeah. So final thought. This is kind of a marketing slant and has something to do with Instagram. Can you guys guess who officially joined Instagram today?
Can I get today?
Is it a
Today.
public
Today's the
figure or
day?
just a...
Yeah, it is a public figure, and this is an earth-shattering kind of thing. Like these group of people, it's been a progression. They've each kind of had their own. Like now they have their own Instagram accounts.
Were they on Twitter before? Can you reveal
Yes,
Okay.
they were.
I saw something about Elon Musk. Is it Elon Musk?
No,
Okay.
no,
Must have been
that?
something
Donald
else.
Trump.
not even funny. Not even funny.
Sorry, political. My bad.
Save that for Twitter.
Yes, that's right. Say that for Twitter.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex officially have Instagram at Sussex Royal. And so now, so they have their own Instagram. And then the Kensington Palace, so Kate and William had one before. And then the Queen, had the royal family. This is a big deal, though, because a lot of people felt bad for Meghan Markle because she had one that she had to give up when she became she's not even a princess, but when she became a princess. And now they're giving them these opportunities. They're starting to realize that these royals have a true voice. And so them having Instagram is kind of a big... I
They
think
also
it's a really
split their
big...
houses too recently.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that that's in conjunction with some of those activities as well, and trying to give them that separate voice for their platform because they have distinctly different interests in platform
and
than
they
Kate and William.
They had
So
a cute first little post on Instagram. I encourage you to follow them. I already did. I'm anxiously awaiting that.
the baby,
Oh, yeah, I am. She's probably going to have that baby any day now.
a couple of weeks, I think is when she's due.
And so-
Interesting. Well, I would not have guessed that.
So that's your fun fact. And
I like it.
transforming. And hashtag long live Diana.
Oh, all right.
That's my hashtag for the day. What? I'm sorry. I mean,
I love your hat. We should just make a page devoted to Deidre's
Deidre's hashtag.
hashtags. We'll have
Well-
a blog page on our site. Just Deidre's hashtags.
Then you actually have to use them though.
Yeah.
Oh, I will long live Diana for as long as I live.
It's like me and my stupid sayings. We need to have your hashtags listed. So we
Just
just have all that documented.
I don't have a list.
We need to come up with... Yeah, you have quirks, but...
Practical Holly.
Thumbs up.
Guess
Or
how
that-
many rooms she's painted in her lifetime. I don't know.
I don't even think I know that.
Yeah, I was going to say hundreds, but that's all right. Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Have a great week.